Disney World has been making things better for guests lately, then why did it just get way more complicated? Let's see if we can simplify things, shall we? Hi, I'm James from Guide to WDW, and I've been to Disney World countless times for pretty much my entire life. And there's one thing that has stayed the same that entire time. Thanks to Disney Magic, calories don't count if something is Mickey-shaped. Oh, I'm being told by my team of fact-checkers that no, that's not true at all? Oh, that's something that I just made up to rationalize eating 24 Mickey waffles at a character breakfast? Oh, and my fact-checkers are telling me that they don't exist and I've been talking to no one this entire time? Huh. Oh, that's right. The one thing that has stayed the same at Disney World is that things change. Rides open, rides close, my made-up ideas of how calories work are proven false, and in recent years, new and more complicated rules have been introduced. And 2024 is a year of big changes. As I pointed out last year, a lot of this change is good. There's a lot more flexibility. The old park hopping rules are back, well, mostly. And reservations are gone, well, only for some guests. Yes, these changes are very welcome, but it doesn't mean that things are less complicated. In fact, the way that Disney implemented some of these changes that guests have been begging for years have made things even more complicated. As I researched this video, I came to realize in some ways things are more confusing than ever. Like a finger curling on a monkey paw. Oh, you wanted park hopping back? Well, here's the Excel sheet you'll need to figure out if that applies to you. Isn't vacation planning fun? Well, here's the thing. Going to Disney World should be fun, and I believe it's easier and less daunting than it seems from the outside. That's the whole point of this channel. I do the work of figuring this out so you don't have to. So this video is all about what's different about going to Disney World in 2024 and explaining these changes in the easiest to understand way possible. Leave the flowcharts to me. You focus on what Mickey-shaped foods to eat. I've heard that the calories don't count for that. Let's dive in. Reservation changes. From 2020 through the end of 2023, all Disney World guests needed to make park-specific reservations in addition to buying their ticket. The reservation determined which park you needed to visit first in a day. So if you wanted to go to Magic Kingdom on a Tuesday, you needed to make a Magic Kingdom reservation in addition to having a ticket to be able to get into the park. And if you've been following Disney sites or channels, you probably heard that reservations are finally gone. But that's not true, because that would be simple to understand. Here's the real story. Starting January 9th, 2024, guests with date-based tickets no longer need to make Park Pass reservations. Other ticket types do need reservations. Wait, what's a date-based ticket? Okay, if you buy a ticket for full price from Disney or for a cheaper from Undercover Tourist, link in description, you'll have to select a date, which is the first day that you use that ticket. But James, isn't that just another form of reservation? Kind of. Actually got an Instagram comment about this, so I think it's important to clarify. There's a huge difference between date-based tickets and the Park Pass reservation system. With the date-based ticket system, you only have to pick the first day that your ticket will be used. And then you can use that ticket anytime within a certain number of days after that. For example, if you buy a 5-day ticket, you have 8 days from that starting date to use all the days on your ticket, and you can go non-consecutive days. The only date you have to pick is the starting date. Before, with the Park Pass system, not only did you have to pick that starting date when you bought your ticket, you also needed a park-specific reservation for every single day you were going into the parks. Going to Magic Kingdom on Monday, Epcot on Tuesday, and Hollywood Studios on Wednesday, you needed to make a reservation for each of those days. And if you change your mind on which park you want to visit each day, then you need to adjust your park reservation or risk getting turned away at the gate. With date-based tickets now, you only have to pick the starting date that you'll visit Disney World, and that's it. What parks you visit on which days are up to you, no reservations required. So, park reservations are gone for date-based tickets, which are what the majority of guests will have if you're buying tickets through Disney, a travel agent, or a third party. But who will still have to make reservations? Guests with non-date-based tickets, which includes annual passes, student groups, sports groups, conventions, and old non-expiring tickets that Disney doesn't sell anymore, but they do still honor. If you're just a regular family trying to buy Disney World tickets, you can't really buy a non-date-based ticket besides annual passes. So let's simplify it with a summary. There are two types of tickets: the ones that don't need park reservations and the ones that do. It's that easy. Except it's not. Because of course it's not. Annual passes actually don't neatly fit in that second column. They live in this middle ground where some days they need reservations and some days they don't. Why is this important? Because the rules of how virtual queue, park hopping, and Genie Plus work depend on if your ticket needs a reservation or not, which is what I'm going to break down in the next parts of this video. But before I get into that, let's dive into that annual pass middle ground with the next big change for 2024, good to go days. Annual passes are non-date-based tickets and need park reservations, except when they don't. In 2023, Disney World introduced a new rule for annual passes that let them get into the parks without a reservation after 2 p.m., except for Magic Kingdom on the weekends, because nothing can be simple. I have a newborn, I've been sleeping less, and I'm a little punchier than normal. I'm gonna get coffee. I'll be right back. Whew. Okay, so starting this year, there's a new rule to go on top of this, good to go days, which are basically pre-designated days where annual pass holders don't need to make a reservation to go into the parks. Disney will announce these days ahead of time on their website or in the app, and you can see on the calendar which days are good to go days marked by these green circles. Good to go days only apply to annual pass holders and not the other non-date-based tickets I mentioned earlier. Once again, let's simplify things. If you are an annual pass holder, here's how to figure out if you need a reservation. Is it a good to go day? No reservation needed. Is it after 2 p.m. on a weekday? No reservation needed. Is it after 2 p.m. on a weekend and you want to go to Epcot, Hollywood Studios, or Animal Kingdom? No reservation needed. For everything else, you need a reservation. I need more coffee, especially if I'm going to be park hopping. Another huge welcome change in 2024 is the return of all-day park hopping. Previously, from 2020 through 2023, with the reservation system, Disney World also introduced a 2 p.m. park hopping rule where you couldn't get to a second park until after 2 p.m. Since the beginning of January this year, all-day park hopping is back, meaning you don't have to wait until 2 p.m. to go to another park, making it easier to go to Magic Kingdom in the morning and then get lunch at Epcot. This is how it works for all guests with park hopper tickets. Except there is one crucial thing to keep in mind if you have one of those tickets with park reservations. You will always need to go to the park that you have a reservation for first before park hopping. But as soon as you scan in, you're free to go to another park, as soon as you want. To simplify, if you don't need a park reservation, you can visit any park at any time with a park hopper ticket. If you do need a park reservation, you have to go to the park that you have a reservation for first, and then you can start visiting any park after that. The changes to park hopping also affect Genie Plus. Before 2024, if you had a park hopper and bought the multi-park Genie Plus, you could make Lightning Lane reservations for a different park only for time slots after 2 p.m. because of the old park hopping rule. Now that all-day park hopping is back, you can now make a Lightning Lane reservation for a different park earlier in the day. There's not really a limit on it. When this first rolled out, there was a bit of weirdness where the rules changed depending on if you needed a reservation or not, but Disney quickly fixed that. Now for all guests starting at 7 a.m., you can make a Lightning Lane for any ride at any park if you have a park hopper and buy the multi-park Genie Plus. The rules don't change if you need a reservation or not now. Finally, let's dive into the last big rule change. My favorite topic, virtual queue. In case you haven't guessed by now, these changes to park reservations and park hopping have a big impact on the virtual queue. Now, if you've already watched my virtual queue mini masterclass on the Guide to WDW YouTube channel, you'll remember that the rules changed depending on the time of the virtual queue opening. Here's how the rules worked. To join the 7 a.m. queue, you need a park reservation for the park that the attraction is in, and you can join from anywhere. And to join the 1 p.m. queue, you have to be inside that theme park to join. As for the new rules, Disney has updated the 7 a.m. rule to state, guests will be able to join one attraction virtual queue at any theme park where they have valid admission. What does this mean? If you have a ticket that needs a reservation, the old rules still apply. You need the right park reservation for that 7 a.m. opening. If you have a ticket that doesn't need a reservation, you are eligible to join whichever virtual queue you want to in the morning. Strike out on Tron, try again for Guardians. Because you don't need a reservation, it's possible to do that now, if you're quick enough. The other big important update to this rule is that you can only have one attraction virtual queue at a time. I think this was the case before, but it previously wasn't really feasible to join more than one queue at a time. But the new park hopping rules make it way easier to join the virtual queue for both Tron and Guardians in one day. for the 1 p.m. queue, you need to be in the park to join. With the old park hopping rules, you couldn't enter a new park until 2 p.m., so if you did Tron at Magic Kingdom in the morning and wanted to go do Guardians in the afternoon, you would have to hope that the virtual queue lasted at least an hour so you'd be able to join. Now, it's possible to actually park hop before that 1 p.m. opening. All the other virtual queue rules apply, so if you haven't seen my virtual queue video that teaches you the fast and most reliable way to join, you'll want to check that out here. There you have it. New rules that give you more flexibility by adding in a good deal of complexity. And I was able to explain them all without a spell of stress-induced narcolepsy. And one last note, if anyone from Disney is watching this, it would be a lot simpler for guests if you just got rid of park reservations altogether. The parks were able to successfully operate for almost 5 decades without them. Just saying. This has been James from Guide to WDW. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you real soon!